quite a few stops for fuel here and there. Here's Del Bonita. They laid on a real nice hamburger do for us.
High River, yeah. Whom you were gone.
And they have the salads and the whole bit here. That's the guy going for a week.
Ben, where are you from? From Vulcan. Good city. Good city. I've been there. You bet. Frank Whetstone. Nice to see you.
Oh, fine. Practically all in now. They must be in the order of 25. I'm not quite sure. Lots of airplanes. Beautiful sunny morning. They had a few niceties to dispose of there in the way of greetings from the chap that the field is named after, and our own representative, plus the chap from Montana.
I'd like to thank everybody for putting it on. For all those on the tour, you're pretty well on your own here to get to Benchmark. Some of you are going to stop at Cut Bank for fuel and some aren't. We'll see you at Benchmark tonight. And Alberta Flying Farmers right here.
Hi, I'm Pam from the Alberta Flying Farmers. I'd certainly like to welcome everyone here, and I hope the people on the tour have a great time. I'm sure they will. They're very capable hands. Mary, the other speakers, and we would especially like to thank Don and Mary. Mary stand over there in the background. Mary, wave your hand. Mary, Mary, and their family also are here, and they all help out, and it's free. I know it's a big enough job we have to fly in two parts to get all everything up the road. Just have a good time, everybody.
And just thanking the strength in the political arena. I'm really glad to see him. I know it makes Frank feel good. We have our Commissioner of Agriculture here from Montana, and passed something the other day was here from Conrad, and Dave has a presentation to make to Frank. Frank changed me from being chief to a conservative politician. They kind of mean the same if you look at them like I look at them. But we all had a hero, and it was Frank Whetstone, and he set up what they called the Reagan Steering Committee in Montana and nursed us along. And we also had a hero in Washington, D.C. that we thought would someday be our president, and his name was Senator Paul Laxalt. And he was kind of the personification of everything we believed in. And at that time, he recognized Frank's worth to our country, and he had a flag raised over the Capitol of Washington, D.C., and it was raised for Frank and Eileen Whetstone of Cut Bank, Montana, by the Honorable Paul Laxalt, United States Senator. I was going to say this until Paul became president, but he got changed from his original path. Reagan Steering Committee and your friend. And Eileen, as you folks know, is responsible for Frank. What a chore. I'd like to give you this.
Thank you, David.
As you can see, the Whetstone Airport is the port of entry at Del Bonita, and lies just right exactly along the border. Now this takes place a little bit later, and we're now down at Benchmark. We're not the first, but a dozen airplanes in, everybody going through the same routine. Hoping they remembered to put the tent pegs in. All varieties of tents and airplanes. You'd never believe that much baggage can get in that few airplanes. Really nice mountain strip, 6,000 feet long. Here's Benchmark, the Montana Palace has set up a nice place with a bit of food. People think I'm talking to myself, you know, and I am most of the time. It's the only way I remember what I've got in my picture. There's a mobile kitchen they brought out from Great Falls, actually. Look after the bunch here. It's about 85 miles to Great Falls. With a potholey road, the guy tells us. And this is just snacks for the afternoon, coffee, beer, popcorn, what have you. And then later tonight we'll have a full-scale supper, and I think it's going to be down there. Pretty well everybody in and tied down now. 23 airplanes. Everybody's got their tent up. There's no accommodation here. And a lovely space. Nice summer afternoon. Lots of big build-ups around. It's pleasant and warm down here. Here's a lineup for supper at Big Fork, or rather at Benchmark. This is big hams of beef. Okay, here we are in our little Benchmark campsite, ready to go to bed for the evening. We had a shower. Now it's turned out beautifully clear. Just a lovely summer night. And with the high hills around, it gets dark pretty early. All 25 or so airplanes in safely. About 6 in the morning they'll all start to depart with very degrees of noise. Beautiful supper we just had. An excellent day all around to start the tour off. Here we are coming out of the little gap that is just over Benchmark, and as soon as we're out of that, then we're over the prairie, and our next stop will be Billings. We go all the way across Montana. Nice rugged mountain range for our starting out there. Just one little corner to cross, a few miles from the airport, and then we're out over flat Montana. Here we are coming up on Billings. Billings, fair size city, about 100,000 people or so on the eastern edge of Montana. The airport is right up on a bench above the city by, well, the height of the bench is around 400 feet, I would judge, and on the north side of town. We're just making our approach for it now. We're at the Custer's Battlefield.
River probably just a mile off the main part of Custer's Battlefield. And there a skirmish was held. We think Custer's men took to the high ground. Once on the high ground.
They have very well informed and very articulate people telling us what actually happened here. There's where Custer fell on the top of the hill, and our warden is giving us a good account of how the battle went and how it ultimately turned out. Unfortunate for poor old Custer, of course.
Did they come there from the river, straight across country, or did they come down to the ridge? Those are two questions that will probably never be answered satisfactorily. But gradually, all the pockets of resistance, like these on the other side of the ridge, about where you see that automobile, those on Calhoun Hill, Captain Field's division of I Company, and all those men, soon, one after another, they fell prey to the large numbers of warriors in the fight. And history isn't enough for them. They have to elaborate on it, improvise. And as a result, we get some very strange-looking paintings. We have paintings that show hand-to-hand fighting on Custer Hill. We show Indians riding on, over, around, and through Custer's men on painted horses.
took a little bus tour, and it had another interpreter along. Showed us just a different view of the battlefield from perhaps 5 or 6 miles from the site of the hill which we saw a few minutes ago.
Cavalry dismounts, somebody has to bring the horses and firing into this very
Fun out there, and the one interpreter gave us almost exactly what the other one did. Kind of wasted effort on the bus trip. We were there, we wanted to see it all.
He ordered his men to mount. Then he ordered them to distance. Then he ordered them to charge. Now he then charged right back to the river where they came from. Probably thought if he got down there he'd find Custer and get some help. But the pressure of these warriors coming off of these hills.
Very soft-spoken fellow. We got just about as much out of it. The next museum there, after this.
We just finished the driving tour and the trip through the museum. This is the last haul up to the actual site of the finding of Custer's body and 20-some of his men's last stand hill, and the memorial, which is up there, placed where he fell.
1976. At this site, hundreds of Sioux and Cheyenne warriors defeated 5 cavalry companies, about 220 soldiers, under the command of Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer. As you look over the battlefield, you can see the white markers showing where the bodies of soldiers were found after the fight. No markers show where the warriors fell, because very little is known of their casualties. Probably less than 100 were killed, and the dead were removed by their families immediately after the battle. Only the Sioux and Cheyenne words tell us what happened to the 200 soldiers killed. Crazy.
Here's early morning breakfast at West Yellowstone. Chief cook there flipping the pancakes. Chief bottle washer getting some more water cooked. Along with that for our breakfast. And our little camp. We only got about 6 of our aircraft in last night. The rest of them should be arriving over the next hour, so that they're on hand for the day's scheduled activities. Nice little campground. There's our friends camped in the trees. Some elected to camp underneath the airplane wing at the edge of the runway, which is fine. Town actually, as you see, in Yellowstone Park. The paint pot area. All of our tour on the bus. We're off the bus. Absolutely gorgeous summer morning. About 70 above. A few clouds.
Jesse, that's what time to end. Like, we're looking back around. Yeah. Well, this one does. Doesn't it? I don't know. It looks like it comes to an end, so we gotta go back down. We have to go down there. All right.
And here we are in our gang getting their picture. Why don't you both? It's supposed to be within the next 5 minutes, so I expect we'll catch it from here very shortly. It's burping a little bit. Lots of people here ready to watch for it. Yeah, it's still just burping a little bit. And there she blows. It's full tilt, that's pretty good. Probably 150 feet. And there it's on the way down. The spurt lasted about 30 seconds. And the next one will be in another hour, give or take. Here's the back view of the old Yellowstone Inn, built in 1903. We've just been inside. Beautiful old building. Why it survived 90 years without burning down, I don't know. It's all wood. And clear to the top of that highest part is open from the foyer. It's a grand old structure. Here's the Cars tour bus that takes us around Yellowstone, and I think one other trip later on. 1 o'clock. Everybody starts to arrive. Here we are at west thumb of the Yellowstone Lake, the biggest mountain lake in North America, the brochure says. It's one of the regular bus stops. Lots of thermal pools, seismograph pool, steaming hot water, and the sign tells you lots of places not to walk. Can't fish off the shore. There's one fellow out there trying his luck. Big cool lake. Yeah, I'll never forget what's your name. Some really nice colored pools in this area down by the end of West Thumb. Nice deep pools, well colored.
I should have thought.
Pull out the dam.
This wildlife is too much for some of the party.
My first picture of wildlife on the trip.
The falls in Yellowstone Canyon. People on both sides. Now, that's what we're going to see in the next half hour, hopefully.
Yeah.
I think we're down one more to the steamboat.
Unfortunately, it wasn't blowing off that day. The last big eruption was June the 9th. It really goes when it goes, 400 feet high, but they never can predict when it's going to go. Lots of walkways here. It was the end of the day, and those who did go all the way around got back a little late for the bus. It was just a long half-mile trip. Here's the explanation of how geysers work.
picture of us taking pictures there. Here we are making camp at Three Forks. There comes Don and Barb Moxon in. They choose their company very well, obviously. There's Leo. We put up the tent for him as we always have to do and pump up his air mattress. We advised him where to put the door, but he put it on the other side anyhow. He has to watch the traffic all night while we watch what's interesting. And there's a couple more coming in. A few early birds got the front row like they always do. Lots of aircraft coming in. Nice little strip. And a good enough camping place. A few rattlesnakes, spiders, Lyme disease ticks. Other than that, no problems. And there, the vermin have just all been shaken out. Multitudinous little aircraft coming in. Mostly small ones. Home built and amateur fun meet here apparently. This is the Three Forks, Montana Amateur Aviation Fly-In. This is our strip at the end where the air tour people are. There's the flagman that's bringing all the people in. And as we come around here are probably 100 or whatever amateur and home-built aircraft of every stripe, size, and color. Wonderful turnout. It's a great morning. Absolutely calm. We got a nice long paved strip here. And it just looks like a great day coming up. They're giving rides now. $10 donation to the association and you get a free ride. There's the Coors beer truck, and you can buy a beer here. They're not giving it away today, but you'll see they have spigots right on the side of the truck, and makes life very simple for the dispenser. And they have a nice bunch of knickknacks for sale, t-shirts, and so on. Making a buck for the association. Some of our gang in the shade. And you can buy lunch here. Billy walk rods. Chronic or thirsty this. Let's go ahead. It's just an absolutely gorgeous Saturday morning. Most of the aircraft are probably in. They're taking rides, and the rest of the people are just looking at the assorted aircraft. There's Don Saunders Stagger Wing. Looks great. We're all putting our ballot in to make it the best of the show. It stands right up there with the best of them.
That was a rather unique little airplane, and he took rides every 10 minutes all morning.
Two of a kind except for the paint job. Tiger Moth about to take off. The Atlas Flyer. There's some little humpback airplane missing. an ex-RCAF mock was brought down and rebuilt here. There isn't one of your models down here.
No.
Lots of people in the circuit today. Number 1, number 2. They have a ground controller here that's talking to them, but many of them don't have radios, of course, so they're sort of given carte blanche to look out for each other. Interesting little airplane, that. He's been taking rides all morning. I don't know what this one is. Just a lovely sight down here. No big mountains around the fall, fairly flat area. That's the delta of the Madison River. Now there's Leo, and he's been chasing that truck all weekend with a bucket. There we are. It's the only truck he ever saw with a beer spigot and a bucket for the money hanging on the side. There's Jack on the old original Three Forks 1917 fire wagon. Never left the town, never been painted.
Stay there for a second.
Here's the gang assembling for takeoff for Virginia City and points west for today. We're in Three Forks. And oh, there's Penny doing her thing. Here we are at the Lewis and Clark Caverns. They're only taking in groups of 15, so the first 15 have gone. And they go way up that trail above the kiosk and enter right there, bang in the center. And it's a long walk, about 3/4 of a mile, and then 2 hours in the cave at 50 degrees, and then they'll be back. Before then, of course, this group will get away, hopefully. And there goes our gang up to go through the cavern. We'll be back in a couple of hours. In the meantime, I'll have most of the Reader's Digest read. Town.
We didn't really have enough time in Virginia City to see it all properly. We got a little rushed because we were slow getting through the caverns.
Very touristy place now after all the years. A place to eat at every corner. And every place to sell souvenirs. Some of the stuff is probably still authentic from 100 years ago, but it's for sure dollied up for the tourists. And they all want to sell you something. Wood on them, and they're getting pretty scarce, of course, after 100 years. pass it at Helena. The truck wasn't quite close enough, so it takes kind of a chain gang to keep the slack out of the hose. They've got all of the campers in a little area about 300 feet square. So anybody that snores will wake everybody on the line. Helicopters down there. State Capitol, of course. And we just had a gorgeous shower in there, the first in 5 days, and did it feel good. A little cozy. And I think everybody is in. And supper is just served, so it's hosted supper by the Montana Aviation Association, which we'll enjoy and not have to cook. A trip down the river and a barbecue tonight.
They decided to take the beer along after not finishing last night.
We think this is the boat that we're going to go on. At least that's the one they're loading the beer on. It's just a little over 100 above today. It's no better down here on the water than it was up at the airport. Really sweltering, and let's hope that the sundown will bring a little relief. Us northerners aren't used to this sort of thing. There's the bunch getting aboard for what we hope is a little cooler trip down the lake and into the gates of the mountains. No, I don't know who that belongs to.
Just there in case of emergency. The body of water on right now is Upper Holter Lake. It's also the Missouri River. There's a hydroelectric dam 22 miles downriver from us that's backing the water up. They named the dam Holter Dam after Anton Holter and finished building it in 1918. That's where they started backing the river up, and this small lake ended up here. Since this is as far as the water is backed up by the dam, this is the shallow end of the lake. It's only 6 feet deep throughout most of the lake on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side here goes out to 22 feet deep. That's where the original river channel ran before they flooded the area in 1918. When they flooded over top of the primary hay field with the ranch in back of us. When you came to on your way to the marina, commonly known as the Kilja Ranch stone. So frequently it's referred to as Mississippian limestone. Throughout the 47 million year lifespan of the Mississippian Sea, a lot of animals and plants lived in it. When they died, they dropped to the bottom, mixed with the mud and sediment that's being washed in Biden River right now with the river's current. Not much current to speak of anymore because of the dam below it. As they go down the river, the land on the right-hand side is the gates of Mountain Wilderness there. Of high probability, there's a large cavern or two somewhere inside the cliffs here. No opening has yet been found to a large cavern, but through the years with wind and water eroding away the surface, plus some more people exploring the area, an opening to a cavern might yet be discovered here in this limestone. burning the hillside. You can see here from the river when the men flew above it in their tri-motor Ford airplane. Wagner Dodd was the foreman that day. As he looked out at the airplane window, he didn't think much of the fire. It was only about 15 acres at that time. He thought it would be mostly a mop-up action. He decided it would be best to jump up in the head of the gulch and then come down and fight the bottom edge of the fire. As the day started to cool, the fire should start. Spectacular cliffs thus far on the Missouri River.
He was describing the death of about 15 firefighters back in the 30s who smoke jumped into the area and were cut off by the fire, and all of them perished.
I'll swing her back around. That close this time.
Here we are disembarking at the gates of the mountain campground, where we're supposed to have a good steak supper.
Really a very fine recreation area here.
The steaks on the grill.
Dandy place. The cook looks like he fancies his own fare pretty good. He weighed about 300 pounds, but a very pleasant fellow, and he sure laid on a good meal for us.
It's a real gorge here that we're in. The sunlight is still up there, but it's in the shadow now. It's about 6:30 at night. And finally, a little bit of cooling in the air. I don't always talk to myself, just when I have the camera.
I was going to ask you if you got a problem.
There we are, right at the gates of the mountains. Campsite. The Sacagawea, and our faithful dog. An old gold miner. The sun is just finally down far enough to give us some shade. With the considerable breeze that's up now, it's the pleasantest it's been all afternoon. Better than that 105-degree stuff we were enjoying back at Helena. Still a little sunlight up there. It was right within a quarter of a mile that Lewis and Clark camped when they came up the river. Getting close to the headwaters, they were within 80 miles of Three Forks, which they counted as the headwaters of the Missouri system. In fact, if they'd have gone a little further and counted the miles up into the headwaters in the mountains, they'd have beaten the Nile River, which would have pleased every American, having had the longest river in the country. A few of them tackled the water here. It's supposed to be 68 degrees. Isn't that very hot? And I think in the next few minutes the boat's going to pick us up and take us home.
The goats are obviously pretty used to traffic here, because they were grazing just right down to the edge of the water and showed no alarm at all when we went by. Too bad the camera and microphone picks up all the rumbles and air noises and so on, and very difficult
Well, here
to
it
pick
is,
up
back from the gates of
conversation.
the mountains to the airport. The sun is just going down on that side. Here's our little Canada. farther away from home, the better the old flag looks. And there's all 20 of us tucked in. Still warm, but we'll get some sleep. And over here, yeah, it must be behind the hangar. It's full moon tonight. The big red apple there. And there's little old SRT. Real good day, except for the rather excessive heat. We're having a look at the Coors Ranch at Deer Lodge, Montana. A well-preserved working ranch with very high standards. Came from 1862 to the present time. And they've been pretty well restored. There's a couple old cowboys. And we're just looking at the various buildings and through the house. And check the out buildings. Beautiful ranch site down here in the valley. The corral is still a working ranch to a degree. 200-300 head of cattle still. Here's the back of the house. This is a beautiful big ranch setup in its day. And they still have a few horses here as well.
Oh, chow time. Praying. All right.
No, that's fine. I'm just
I don't know. I told one of them that if there was on and bring mom and me like
Here's some of our gang sitting about, having probably done the foot tour. There's a view inside the old Montana State Prison.
Prison that's been abandoned in the last few years, and a new facility built just a few miles down the road. While we were there, the sirens went
Very
off,
heard about the Mount 13 steps.
indicating departure unexpectedly at some time. There's the gallows.
This is more of the museum. We're up to the 1930s now.
We're now over in the Ford Farm Museum, just
And a couple
adjacent
of
to the old
tractors,
prison
ports
in
and
Deer
doors.
Lodge.
Transmissions and engine assemblies. Old service station bits. And some of the shortier models. More of the same, some of them a little later. Getting into Lincolns now. Miles away from Helena. We're gonna have supper tonight.
I'm here for supper after doing the Deer Lodge paper. Closer in.
Car Museum. And there's the last spot.
What do you get for $11?
Hey,
Yes.
okay, what you do, you guys can help yourself. The, salad bar is right there. You get the salad bar in the buffet, and you can help yourself. There's plates there. You get free iced tea and coffee with that, or hot tea. And whenever you're ready, you can go through the hot bar. Many times go up there.
Or get milk too if you want.
Pardon me?
You get milk if you want. Besides
You can, that's actually going to get free, the iced tea and the coffee is free with the buffet.
you pay for your own drinks.
Yeah, and that's what they've been doing.
And if these cowgirls look after you real good, don't forget to leave their gratuity on the table.
Sort of a frontier town built by one man pretty well over quite a few years as a resort spot. You can look over the valley all the way down in the very far distance is Helena. They say you can see 75 miles, and this is right on the Continental Ridge, in fact. It's a nice little duck pond, teepee, chapel, and a great amount of museum collected stuff that she has accumulated over the years. And an excellent dinner. So it's a nice stop before we go back to Helena for the last night there. Quite a good teepee here.
Grand old clear piano here, which cranked up, and solos really
Here's our last little camp, at least we think it will be, at Kalispell. Had to borrow a tent from Dawn and Moxham because ours has a couple of broken poles. But everybody is snugged in here. The bus is just getting ready over there to take them down to Big Fork. We're a little short of tickets, so we won't go to that one. But everybody is snugged in here. A couple of the gang have gone home. Nice little airport right beside the Aero Hotel, or motel, who have very generously offered us the use of the pool and all of their public facilities, despite the fact that only perhaps half a dozen or so are really staying there. Ex-pilot for a landlord, so he's sympathetic to the flying fraternity. We'll jam our buses, 18 to the bus, and go up over the pass. Very lovely lodge here. A lake 9 miles long, 450 feet deep, the man tells us. Beautiful mountain lake, and what must be a very old lodge. And they're loading us up in groups of 18 to go over the hills and far away. Greetings to Murrayhurt. Always a ham in every crowd. The front of the lodge, Donald Lake. And there's Don Mockram. And there's more jammers.
Where was that, Ned?
We're about ready to take off and climb up over the pass. This is a nice little gorge close by McDonald Lake in the rapids.
How long are you going to do? Is that on one person? Yeah, you got her done, yeah. You can beat your buddy, you're okay.
Festive with tourists. Valley floor for Right around the bend down the lake, which we have just come from.
You guys had excellent weather that yeah. I think it's supposed to rain today. Rain all year. Not in the daytime.
Here, a very sick and tired looking goat along by the falls here on the going to the Sun Highway, Haystack Falls. No, that goat's not going to make the summer, I don't think. Lots of traffic here this morning. Motorcycles, campers, the whole bit. It's a fascinating view of the back of the heads of fellow passengers.
It's called the Highline Trail.
6,000 and some feet here. You can see the tremendous number of tourist buses they have here. These old jammers, as they call them, are still about 31 in existence. They were made in 1933 and used in Glacier Park and this park and Waterton at one time. They've been refitted with new running gear, transmissions, engines, and really go along very nicely. We're in the back and it's cold as the dickens. There's a couple of Japanese tourists who are not in great evidence here, but it says here that they're at the Continental Divide, 6,680 feet high. All the way to Waterton Park, 31 miles away. And we have come here from West Glacier, of course, going down to St. Mary's. It's all downhill from this point. No thank you for the walking trail. Pretty gorgeous vista up here. We're at the very peak of Logan's Pass at the visitor center. Not an original idea to come here today, obviously. Highways are busy and busier and busier.
Number 97.
The gang began to assemble for the bus. With a little luck, we may scoot out over those hills tomorrow on the way home, if the weather holds. We haven't got a second plan, so we hope it holds. Now we're looking back, and that's the visitor center right in the middle there, which
Hey y'all, how's it going?
And we're on the downside now towards the east side of the pass. St. Mary's Valley. A bunch of dang Canadian tourists.
Ask about the water.
We're almost down the east side of going to the Sun Road now. This is St. Mary's Lake. 9 miles long, 300 feet deep. Cutthroat, Dolly Varden trout. And beyond it are the prairies. Or a few foothills in between. We'll probably come over this route tomorrow going home. A little cruise steamer down there. The rest of our group up ahead. They got lucky and got a girl driver. This is a classic postcard view of Lake St. Mary's. About as common as Mount Brundle. It's really a very pretty view. We just had the group picture taken. At least most of them are here and in the sunshine for the first time. One way or another, they're all there, either back or front or otherwise.
Dustin goes the other way. Did you take some pictures too? Yeah, thanks to Rachel there. Oh, Rachel. Yeah, there you go there.
Jerry!
You got your shot already?
Rachel!
This is the wind-up party held in Strand Aviation's hangar. We've got pretty well our whole crew here, I think, and a good many people from the Montana Aviation Council. So we just got here in time to get into the vittles. Which this crew is very good at. Well, they got us all tucked in, set up a couple extra tables. Lovely chicken and all the fixings. And I suppose there'll be a little presentations and stuff afterwards.
Now that you've gotten used to being gypsies and riding around the stage,
got a Jim Neighbors and we haven't, you know.